Joey Flowsa here on the 22nd anniversary of 9/11, the single biggest attack on American soil in the history of this country. 3,000 lost their lives. And there are some inside stories, okay, from people who live in New York. One in particular I want to share with you is particularly chilling. I had a paisan friend of mine. He lived in Brooklyn, but he worked on Wall Street at the time. And he told me that something that he didn't think anything about at the time lingered in his mind after the event. And he shared it with me 5 years after the event, because he just could not stop thinking about it. He would come in every day to work on Wall Street from Brooklyn. And he would see this particular vendor, street vendor, on a specific corner at a specific intersection on his way into Wall Street. That fateful day in September of 2001 was on a Tuesday. I remember because obviously the significance of the day, but I had been with a couple of friends of mine watching Monday Night Football. It was the Rams and the Denver Broncos, and it was a pretty good game. The Broncos were transitioning to Bob Greasy's son at quarterback. First name escapes me right now. Brian Greasy. And so it was a pretty good game. The Rams ended up winning. But for whatever reason, I didn't have to come into the office that next day. And I stayed up very, very late, gambling on various propositions of the game, drinking, having fun with my friends, and got to bed so late and was in such a state that I didn't wake up until 2 in the afternoon on Tuesday, September 11th, 2001. So I hear about all of this stuff after the fact and go through what a lot of us went through when seeing tales of tragedy and heroism by Americans helping fellow Americans, putting everything aside, and particularly those in New York, Pennsylvania, Washington, D.C., coming together and helping each other. But back to my paisan friend that told me, he said, man, I never gave this much thought until afterwards. But that vendor that I had seen every single day that I had went into Wall Street to go to work every single morning, that particular morning, that Tuesday, was the first time that I did not see him. In addition to this, I myself and he himself has heard stories of multiple children not being at school that particular Tuesday, even veiled threats by certain children of certain backgrounds in regards to the World Trade Center North and South Towers in Manhattan, in New York City, saying that before long they won't be there, the two towers. Those alone are hearsay, but my friend made that same path to work every day for several years And the fact that this particular individual, this particular vendor, was conspicuous in his absence on that Tuesday morning speaks volumes. And yes, this is not a hate video, but yes, the individual was of Arab descent. For me personally, before I even knew this, I always wondered, where was the outrage and the protest and the screaming from the highest mountain from Arab Americans saying, this is not us. This is not what we do. We're against this. We support America. Not much was said about this. And again, I'm not looking to go back in time and chastise Arab Americans. In fact, the initial supreme commander in Iraq before Petraeus took over was John Abazad, an Arab American himself. And many were instrumental in the quote unquote subsequent war on terror. But you didn't see sacrifice as a whole like you did in World War II, the sacrifice from African Americans that were treated like crap in this country, but still fought for this country, could not wait to get their shot at Hitler. Japanese Americans put in internment camps, exhibiting courage and heroism in the European theater. Polish Americans, Hispanic Americans, Italian Americans fighting against Mussolini, Dwight Eisenhower, a German American, the supreme commander in the European theater for the Allied forces, all standing up and saying, we are Americans. Despite where we are from, we are Americans now. This is our home. You just didn't see that. And you combine this with the fact that the majority of the perpetrators in the 9/11 attacks were Saudi Arabian, but immediately Saudi Arabian government disavowed them and called them rogues. I do remember, as people domestically here were beginning to question that a little bit. Now, our country has long had a relationship with Saudi Arabia, certainly based on their massive oil reserves, and I can remember hearing a commercial on the radio extolling the virtues of Saudi Arabia, reminding Americans that they are a trusted friend, just as the tide was swelling for our government from our people. That tide was coming from our people, telling our government, who's supposed to represent us. We are a republic, not a democracy. We elect representatives. We don't make the laws. We elect representatives, republic. Just as that tide was swelling for us to take a longer look at the House of Saud, King Fahd in particular, and this whole crew, as they managed to sidestep any involvement, because these were rogues and individuals, and we were not attacked by a sovereign nation. Oh, they hid behind it real well. but yet they still played the anti-American role when King Fahd snuffed President Bush 5 years later so he could keep a good face to those in the Arab world, playing both sides of the fence. Now, again, this is not a call to arms against Arab Americans whatsoever. None. Not at all. But I think that the phrase, every brother ain't a brother, is apropos here. All of our brothers and sisters here in America that have come from different countries and are descended from individuals from different countries have all made the decision at this particular point to get together and be Americans and throw down for America. There are some amongst us who want the benefit of being American, but are still anti-American to their core. And guess what? They're not confined to a specific group or nationality. But anti-American is anti-American. And when you live here and you're anti-American, it's just that much worse. What makes us great is getting together and throwing down together and accomplishing things together. That is when we are at our best. There's nothing wrong with being proud of your homeland or your ancestral homeland. But when you're in America, you need to be about America and other Americans. That does not mean that you need to blindly, unabashedly support whomever's in the White House or the governor's office or local officials in power whom abuse that power. That's not what that means. What that means is supporting other Americans, caring about other Americans and our way of life. You see, when I say I love America, I love the people. Doesn't mean I love the fucking White House or whoever's in it. I understand government and leadership is difficult. But when I say I love America, it does not mean I love racist traditions, keeping people down who are down systematically, regardless of race, background, creed, or any other particular orientation, sexual being by choice. I love America and Americans. And yeah, man, Arab Americans and Muslims were killed in 9/11. It's New York. Make no mistake about it, it happened. And of course, this is all eschewed as, well, it's a holy war. Sometimes sacrifices have to be made, whatever. Again, I understand America's imperialistic policies and interference in the Middle East with untoward motives in mind, like oil, okay? But that's my government doing that. Obviously, we need to change that in terms of how we get down. But ultimately, when you start killing and hurting Americans, regardless of their background, skin color, religion, or sexual orientation, and you are not American and you start killing Americans, if every other American is not pissed off, not only am I pissed off at those who killed the Americans, I'm pissed off at those who sit idly by and say nothing and have no protest, and even more insidious, those that are secretly cheering for it, secretly glad about it. Look, man, I'm no better or worse than anybody else. I'm Irish and Italian, big whoop. Doesn't make me better than an Arab, doesn't make me better than anyone else. But I'll fucking tell you this right now, it doesn't make me any worse, and I am an American, along with all of my other American brothers and sisters, wherever they may be descended from. We are Americans first. All right? You have the right to be vocal against the policies of your government. You have the right to be vocal against unfair treatment, and furthermore, demonstrate against unfair treatment by local law enforcement for unfair reasons, discriminatory reasons. You have the right to do that. I support you in that. I'm with you in that. We need to fix it. But when Americans start getting hurt by non-Americans, that's when we all need to pack up and band together. We look out for each other first. We can go back and settle our differences, political or whatever, at another time. But first things first, we got to look out for Americans. As was exemplified in some of the courageous acts that we saw on 9/11 that we now see, and that I'll admit that I'm watching on documentaries, Netflix, YouTube, or otherwise, okay? Stories of courage, heroism, remarkable stories about life and things that happened pre, during, and post 9/11. Still the greatest country on earth. And yeah, we still got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of shit to fix. Any of my American brothers and sisters, regardless of background, are suffering, and many of my black and brown American brothers and sisters are saying they're suffering, then they are. Enough of them are saying they are suffering, so they are. We need to fix the shit now. Fix this shit now. The bottom line is we need to look out for each other. Period. Point blank. There's not a goddamn thing in the world wrong with having pride in America, all right? When at the core of your pride in this country, which mine is love of my fellow Americans, not who's in the White House, not of oppressive laws, not of oppressive law enforcement, not of bullshit policies in place, not of overt systematic racism, discrimination, bigotry, and the like. You put the America tag on those things, and so all of a sudden, if I say I support America, I support those things, bullshit. I support America. I support the people in America, my brothers and sisters in America, my fellow Americans. That's who I support. Don't give a shit with their religion, background, sexual fucking orientation, skin color is. They're Americans. We're Americans. Okay? Not just white Americans. We're Americans. All of us, man. Black, brown, yellow, red, the whole like. Okay? All of us, man. Shit gets done when we work together. All right? And our system allows us to have an active voice through peaceful protest as well as the election process in changing parts of the course that we're on that are just bad, that are wrong, that are unjust, that are unfair. We can do that. But when the fucking shit goes down, all right, we're Americans, man. And we got to look out for each other. Flying planes into our fucking buildings, attacks on our soil. At that point, all the other bullshit aside, It's Americans first. It's America first. God bless America. That's where my fucking head is at with it. And again, it's not that, oh my God, who's ever in the White House? Oh my God, policies, racism, abuse of powers, corrupt government, subversive military operations that we have nothing, no knowledge of or any power in dictating. I don't support those fucking things. I support the American people. My neighbors, man, the cats working hard, grinding on it. Cats with families, individual cats, young cats, old cats, struggling. All right? All of us, man. All colors, creeds, races, and backgrounds. Americans. When I say I love America, I love Americans. That's what I love. The flag, the Constitution, the White House, all those things are symbols. All right? Although I do have tremendous pride in America and love for this country, believe you me, when I say I love America, that does not mean that I in any way, shape, or form policies of America that have persecuted individuals in this country. Not at all. I love the persecuted individuals and believe that we need to fix this shit and fix it fucking now. And while we do that, anytime anybody not American, any nation other than America tries to tear us down, tries to lay waste to what we do, be it subversive or cyber attacks or whatever it may be, we got to understand that we hold down our house first as Americans while we continue to try to make life better for all Americans. The subversionist attacks are meant to divide us. We need to continue to focus on making things fair and equal and just. In the exact words of the Constitution, all men are created equal. It may have been interpreted as all white men, but the fact of the fucking matter is the Constitution said all men. So that's what we're going to fucking go with. It's America, man. It's my home. Going to die here. I live here and I enjoy it, as I'm sure my fellow Americans do, and I'm going to die here. And I won't let anything throw us as a people asunder. And I mean that. I'm American to my core. Second Amendment, gun laws. The reason the populace is allowed to have guns is just in case the fucking government oversteps their bounds, which they are far less likely to do against the threat of an armed populace. That is what the framers had in mind. That is the number one reason the Second Amendment should be upheld. Just in case these cocksuckers who are running shit get too big for their britches. They need to know we got something for their ass and we won't stand for it. When peaceful protest no longer works. This is why the Second Amendment is in place, period. And anybody that wishes to overturn it either is part of the power structure that really wants to fucking have the hammer on your ass, or simply does not know or understand that the threat of an armed populace is the best deterrent to a tyrannical government. They either don't understand the philosophy or they are part of the power structure that wants to be that tyrannical government. September 11th, 2001, we got rocked. We got rocked. And yeah, like the song said, man, this punch came flying in from the back, rocked us. Okay? Right? Sent us to a knee. Hopefully opened our eyes. The hope is that it would open our eyes and realize that we need each other internally as Americans, and that our government would realize that there are more intricate solutions to complicated problems such as the Middle East and our expanse of power. It's a different way to do things while still maintaining our safety and watching our back. Our influence will always be pervasive. In ingenuity, inventions, literature, culture, things of this nature. But the price that we pay for it when our government decides that that influence needs to be military-based and strategic is where we have these unintended consequences and issues of flexing. It's time to tighten up as Americans. It's time to move towards American being the thing, regardless of background, skin tone, religion, and yes, sexual orientation. It's time that we realize America is the thing. And that means each other. Doesn't mean fucking MAGA. It's not what it means. America's each other, man. It's not a political fucking party. All right? It's not a specific religion, lifestyle, or color, or creed. Okay? It's about Americans being Americans and looking out for each other when the shit goes down. Yeah, man, we got a lot to work on. We need to keep working on it internally here, man, so that everybody gets a shot. And that the society becomes what I believe it should be and was intended to be, a meritocracy, a society based on merit where, yes, we help those who are down, but we also reward those who are deserving, those that are meritorious in terms of what they do. This will give others incentives to be meritorious, to participate in the meritocracy. We're coming up on the end of another anniversary of 9/11, this being the 22nd. And I just did not want to let it go by without addressing it. I'm Joey Flowsa. I love America because I love Americans. And I can't emphasize this enough. America is about the people of America, man. All kinds, from all backgrounds, all religions, all walks of life. Americans. It's not about the government, who's ever in power, or whoever on the global fucking stage that is in power that seems to be fucking speaking for us. Okay? It's not what it's about. It's about us. And we, as Americans, need to keep our way of life alive, man, by looking out for each other and making sure that, hey, in America, as an American, everybody deserves a fucking fair shake. We all need to feel part of it because we all are part of it. We all contribute to the fucking gumbo Every single one of us add flavor to it. America, still the greatest country in the world. Joey Flowsa out.